In this video, we're going to go over physical access control. It's an important part to keeping our equipment, our assets, and our data safe. And so in this video, let's go over physical access control. In this video, we'll start out with just a brief mention about types of controls. We're going to get into building access and what that looks like. We'll talk about door access, detection, surveillance, securing equipment, and we'll finish it off with a brief mention about employee training. When it comes to battling risk, we have several different types of controls we can put into place. That is, categories of controls. And they fall under preventative, deterrent, detective, corrective, recovery, compensating, and directive. But when it comes to physical access control, it mainly has to do with the first three. Preventative, things that prevent something from happening. Deterrent, things that are going to deter somebody from trying to gain access. Or detective, those things that are going to detect that something has been breached. There are some things that we can do to the building and the surrounding areas to really protect our assets. One of the things is we could put up billards. Billards are the cylinders that go, sometimes they retract, but they're the round cylinders that prevent somebody from driving into a certain area. That if they were to hit one of these, they go deep into the ground and it would cause a lot of damage. So it would protect certain areas from having some sort of vehicle traffic. Or fencing, which could prevent vehicles, but also could prevent people from getting in or crawling over if they have to battle this barbed wire at the top. Or just even the architect of the building makes a difference. There are some building materials that can be signal blocking to prevent signals from coming in or out of the building. There's things like reflective glass that you can put up so people can't see into the building or perhaps don't have windows at all. There's things like camouflage that you could put in there, meaning that we could take this building, and if it's a data center, we don't necessarily want people to know that it's a data center. So we make it blend into the buildings around it. There's also things like access control vestibules, which used to be called man traps. So access control vestibules are areas where you would walk in, it only really accepts one person, or a lot of them only accept one person. The door locks behind you and you have to enter a code in to get into the next stage and access the building. And talk about a deterrent. There's not going to be somebody that's trying to break into the building that's going to want to be in one of those vestibules. Or you have magnometers that you can use. Magnometers, also known as metal detectors. Those are the things that you walk through and detect whether you have metal on your body. There's also lots of options for door access once you're in the building or to get into the building. There's just regular keys or key fobs. Those are the things that can attach to your keys, but they are little sensors, are little RFID sensors. You have badge readers that are able to sense that RFID signal. So there's the RFID signal. You've got smart cards and swipe cards that all kind of serve the same purpose of being able to access it. Biometrics like retina scanner, fingerprint scanner, palm print scanner, things that read any kind of biometrics. And then also with all of this, it's great because you can create access logs. There's also a lot of things that we can put in place for detection, such as security guards or security escorts. Some businesses actually, when you walk into it, they'll have an escort you that will escort you to certain places. When my brother was going for a top secret clearance, that's one thing that he had to do, is have a security escort until he was completely cleared. Things like just lighting is another thing. Having bright lights is a deterrent. Having guard dogs would obviously be a deterrent. There are things like tamper detection, that if something were to be tampered with, then it would set off some sort of signal or be evident that it's been tampered with. You have things like alarm systems and surveillance systems. There's also lots of different types of surveillance, whether it be video cameras doing video surveillance, or maybe it's some sort of surveillance around the wireless system, seeing if there's stray wireless signals that aren't supposed to be there, or electronic surveillance. There's different types of electronic switches and different type of electronic surveillance that we can put in place. There's a lot of detectors and sensors that we can use, like infrared sensors doing things like body heat, or pressure, like pressure plates, sensing pressure plates, microwave, or ultrasonic So there's lots of different types of detectors and sensors that we can put into place. We not only want to protect some of the rooms within our buildings or the buildings themselves, but we also want to secure equipment within the building. So we use things like laptop and equipment locks. We use things like smart lockers, safes, locking cabinets, locking racks, and even asset tags to track the equipment. And one thing that goes a long way is in employee training. You could have people that are doing things like piggybacking, where they're coming in behind somebody else. And even if you have something like a access control vestibule that only one person can allow in, if they're holding the door open for somebody else to come in as well, then that's problematic. So making sure that you have employee training around all of the policies and procedures around physical access control, as well as how to use all of the things that we've just mentioned, is also important. In this video, we started out by talking about types of controls when it comes to mitigating risk, and the ones that apply specifically to physical access control. We also talked about building access, door access, detection, surveillance, securing equipment, and employee training. And using these all together are an important part of making sure you have physical access control and you're maintaining secure ways of safeguarding your assets.